everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from gorgeous Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, Adam-ondi-Ahman.
Those words will mean nothing
Well, because...
to a significant portion of our listenership and have already caused, laughter among another portion of our listenership.
Well, I don't blame them for not understanding it because it is in the ancient language of Adamic, Dan. So we're gonna
It is. It's true.
So we're gonna dive into some Mormon nonsense and a modern or a contemporary event that's happening with regard to Adam-ondi-Ahman. So
This is particularly good Mormon nonsense, you guys. You're going to like this one.
all right. Well, first, Dan, we have some stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start with a new rule in New York City.
Oh, good. We need more rules.
New York City, and this is a new New York City Police Department rule that will allow mosques in the city to broadcast the Muslim call to prayer without a permit.
Oh.
Bump, bump, bump.
There goes the neighborhood.
No fucking kidding. Apparently, up until now, there's been a lot of confusion, according to Mayor Adams, about which communities are allowed to amplify their calls to prayer. And so he says, today we are cutting red tape and saying clearly, if you are a mosque or a house of worship of any kind, you do not need to apply for a permit to amplify your call to Friday prayer.
Oh, Friday prayer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the rule itself will allow Friday prayer, call to prayer, to be amplified between the hours of 12:30 p.m. and 1:30 p.m. And then
you get one.
And then of course, every evening during the month of Ramadan.
Okay.
So they will be allowed to once a year provide daily disturbance to their neighbors.
But not 5 times a day.
No. They're not going down the road of, what was it, Minneapolis. That is the first major U.S. city to allow the call to prayer to be broadcast 5 times a day. This is part of this broader thing that is happening in American cities that do have large Muslim populations, which is they're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Right? The solution to this problem is not allowing the call to prayer. It's saying, oh shit, maybe we shouldn't be allowing any religious structure to make any noise that sort of, like church bells and whatnot.
Yeah. I think that's the problem, is that what's happening is that they're realizing that if they don't allow the call to prayer, suddenly the Muslims are going to be like, okay, well then you have to stop waking us up with your goddamn bells.
Yeah.
And then it's on.
Yeah. I like, honestly, everybody out there, like, if this starts becoming a discussion where you live, I think the correct thing to do is to go to the city council meeting and to write letters to the editor for whatever good that does, get onto local forums, whatever, and start saying that it's going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Right. The way to equalize this and the way for this to be that the proper response for a secular society would be to just not allow it at all for anyone. Everybody's on equal footing, right? Like you're not favoring any one group over the other. You're just saying to everybody, you know what? Like, peace and quiet's important. And bells, as charming as a lot of us find them, are annoying at the wrong time of day. And this call to prayer thing because they're not going to stop with just this, one call to prayer on Fridays.
No, you don't think they're going to be satisfied with that?
No. In 5 years, New York City will be approving far more calls to prayer.
Yeah.
Than this. Whether they go down the road of 5 a day, who knows?
Yeah.
But I would predict that American cities are going to start just allowing the call to prayer. And I'm like, nope.
If you do take Frank's advice and write into your letters to the editor and all of the stuff, use a pseudonym. Just sign it Frank Feldman, because you're going to be in trouble.
Sign it Frank Feldman told me to.
Yeah, exactly.
Preferably not. No, it is worth pointing out that Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world, which is terrifying, and also in North America, which is also terrifying.
Right.
And I'm just so completely depressed that while we get to watch Christianity crash and burn, right? We also have to watch something even less tolerant coming along to replace it. So.
Well,
I'm not. Yeah. I am not happy, Dan. This is
you are very clearly downright miffed.
I might be sort of amused in some ways observing this, but it's part of a very disturbing pattern for me.
Here's what's interesting. I can't tell if the direction that you're going is more liberal or more conservative. I'm not sure on that. Like, is the liberal perspective to allow more freedom of religion, or is it to, is it to secularize society such that it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, believe me, I know, and I've had to come to accept that there is a part of me that maybe agrees with conservatives. Once in a while, right? Because a broken clock can be right twice a day, and that's how I feel about them, right? And so, like, I agree with them on this. But I don't agree with them because I'm like, shut it all down.
Yeah,
It's where the atheism, when it meets your politics, you're not going to align all the time with the believers.
Yeah, not everything goes in the same direction for everybody,
right? And so, like, you have all these believing liberals out there, or liberals who have sympathies toward religious communities, if nothing else. Yeah. And of course, they're going to be like, yeah, make it all legal. Woohoo, let's have all the religion getting along. I've seen those bumper stickers. Yeah. You know, I'm not that liberal. I'm not that kind of liberal, I should say.
You're not that brand.
I'm not that brand of liberal.
Yeah. It's not like, people choose what religion they're in. They weren't born, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To some extent. I mean, people are born into a religious tradition, and that can be very powerful. People, it becomes part of their identity. So I don't know. Maybe you don't choose what religion you are. But if you converted, then fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep this weird conversation going because I don't know how to feel about the next story either.
Okay.
Which is that the Danish government has decided to look at a new law. They're proposing that it become illegal to desecrate any holy book in Denmark. Oh. This, of course, follows hard on the heels of a bunch of shit in Sweden going down when an Iranian national has taken to frequently burning the Quran as a protest against his former religion.
More of a hobby, maybe.
Sure,
at this point, it feels like it's how he passes time.
Like fishing never took off for him.
Trains, maybe he should get a train set if he's never tried it. It can be fun.
Well, Denmark is looking at just banning the desecration of holy books. Now, here's the thing. A big part of me says, that's just a book. You are preventing free speech. You know what I mean? The burning of a book is a symbolic gesture that is meant to be a powerful denial of the tenets and concepts contained in that book. But also, people don't take it that way. And dangerous people don't take it that way. And you are risking, like, genuine terrorism in your country if you allow it. So it's questions for me. I have questions. I don't know the answer because it seems like there is a public interest in not terrorism.
A public interest in caving to the Muslims?
What's that?
A public interest in caving to the Muslims?
Look, of the ways to cave, saying just leave their book alone seems like a pretty fucking gentle cave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if they were like saying, okay, well, I guess we all have to become Muslims now,
right,
or anything of the sort, I would be like, but like, just fucking use your words instead of using some symbolic gesture.
Right.
I think that is a fair thing to ask.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, words can be easily misunderstood. I think there's no misunderstanding burning a Quran.
I disagree wholeheartedly. They willfully misunderstand. The way that they understand that gesture is as an attack on them personally and maybe even a physical attack on their God.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, here's the part that I am uncomfortable with. And it's that they're singling out holy books, and they're trying to be generic about it by being like, well, we're going to ban the burning of all holy books. Yeah. I don't like that.
No.
I don't like that at all. So I was thinking that maybe they should just ban the burning of books, period.
Interesting.
This I don't know why. This is where my mind is today. It's in a strange place, maybe, where it's just like, be perfectly equal in your treatment of everyone. And I know that's not realistic, but
yeah, I mean, look, I get where you're coming from. It makes sense to me because all you're doing is getting yourself into trouble when someone's going to claim that Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows is holy to them or some bullshit. Yeah. And then suddenly it's like, what do you do?
Get out ahead of that and just say, we as a nation, right? And Denmark of all places could get away with this. Just like, we as a nation, we value all printed words, right? This is a national priority. This is a part of the Danish character that you may have never heard of before. And we ban burning any books.
Yeah, it's tricky. You would also have to include like a provision for the ceremonial like retiring of a book that's been beat up too much or whatever.
Just shred it. They could just have like the great, secular shredding machine, right? Like
the ministry of books that are done.
Yeah.
Of finished books.
Yeah. They could also claim that it's an environmental, like it's a climate change thing, right? Like we don't burn things.
Here's my question. If you are in Denmark and they pass this law that you can't burn a holy book, and you have an app on your phone that has the holy book on the app, and then you burn your phone, what have you done? Is that a thing? I don't know.
How about, this is what this guy should do, right? If he can't burn books anymore, he could delete it from his phone. Right? He could have the Quran app on his phone, and he just he holds it up for the cameras and he hits delete.
Oh, it's scandalous. I love it. Delete your holy books, everybody. They won't know what to do. You can download it and delete it as many times as you want. It's amazing.
All right, Dan. Well, let's just get this one out of the way.
Oh, good. We're all looking forward to it now. We're very excited.
No, since we're on the topic of Islam and governmental responses to Islam, France, right? The country that famously banned the wearing of what do you call the burqas and whatnot back in 2010. Anything that the full face veil, right, was banned. They banned the headscarf from the public schools in 2004. And they have now decided that they need to ban the abaya, which is the loose-fitting full-length robe worn by some Muslim women. And so they're banning the abaya from the state-run schools as well. And because they, the French ideal of secularism is it's a strong value. They believe in secularism, and their interpretation of it is a little different than how like the typical like rest of the world understands the issue.
Their understanding of it is basically no.
Yeah, they want no religious displays, no religious signs, right, in public spaces like public schools, or if you're in a government building or whatnot, I assume, or even like the public street. I mean, that was like the banning of the burqa. That's just in public, right? They're just they have a very strict understanding that it's basically freedom from religion, right? That I've seen it described. Right.
I don't know how broadly they apply this, though. I'm skeptical that they're that eager to be free from like Catholicism.
So the banning of cross wearing in their public schools goes back to the 19th century. And it was specifically an effort to curb any Catholic influence from public education. Okay. So this is a long-standing tradition. They have through the years identified various different things that they have decided are too religious of displays in their public schools. They've banned the kippah for Jews. They have banned, let's see, what else was it? Oh, the headscarf, which I already mentioned.
Right.
And so this is wild.
I just like the idea of, all of the French just being like, you should probably have a religion, but like not that much.
Well,
it's too much.
And that's just it. The freedom to practice religion at home or at church or mosque or temple or synagogue, whatever, that is a protected freedom, right? They're not going after that. They're going after this idea that like in public, people should be equal. And this is a quote from top education from the actual education minister, Gabriel Attal. He said, "Secularism means the freedom to emancipate oneself through school." He argues that the abaya is, quote, a religious gesture aimed at testing the resistance of the republic toward the secular sanctuary that school must constitute.
Sanctuary, I
think it's
ever
great.
Since
this is protecting kids even from overbearing parents. Like these kids can go to school and just be on equal footing with all of the other kids.
And I can see why, like, someone might feel very discriminated against by this.
Yeah.
But also, like, oh no, you don't get to wear your hat. Feels a little, you know what I mean? Oh no, you don't get to, cover your face for this hour or something. It means so much to them and so little in reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think you just summed up the French nation right there, Dan.
Yeah.
It means a lot. There's so much that means a lot to them.
And
so little to anyone else. I respect the French, though, for stuff like this.
Yeah, it's an impressive and a meaningful ideal.
Yeah.
I don't know. There you go. Well, from the respectable French to the questionable New Jerseyites, I'm going to take us back across the pond here. New Jersey has is an interesting place. I'm just going to say that. And one township, one area of New Jersey has gotten in some trouble. I think we've talked about this before. This is the Jackson Township, which has of late had a lot of Orthodox Jews move into their area. Now, this can be tricky because when you have a huge block of a single group move in, and when it's like this, they all move in together and they vote as a block, and suddenly, like, your community is very different. It starts to look very different. It may be that they start electing themselves into, you know, the town councils and all this stuff. They start building things.
In a democracy? How dare they?
Right? But it is, I mean, it points out how easy, how like, you can have a town that like has a whole feel to it, that has a vibe already, an established, you know, like culture
that was,
and then it doesn't take that many people to start to upset everything.
Yeah.
Well, upset they were, and they started to do some very like sketchy shit, including the town started surveilling the Orthodox people. Like these people would go to each other's houses for, you know, a Shabbat service or whatever, and they were being surveilled while they were doing it.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Why?
They were, the town was passing ordinances,
like who
specifically designed to hinder. Like
the police were doing the surveilling, or like who was surveilling?
I'm unclear on that.
Okay.
To be honest with you, but it was clear that it was like this was all happening, and at the behest of the government, of the local government.
Okay.
Somehow.
Okay.
And so, like, yeah. And also, like, all of the local groups were raising alarm bells about extremist religion groups coming in and taking over the town, and, you know, all the neighborhood apps and whatever people were getting, let's be very clear, incredibly anti-Semitic about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Like to the point of like one of the quotes in the article that I'm reading said, had somebody saying, "We need to get rid of them like Hitler did."
What?
So we're not talking about nice people worried about their town changing. We're talking about like people openly getting Nazi about the whole thing. So not great. Not great.
Holy shit. What? What, Dan?
You're shocked by this?
Well,
Have you met America, sir?
Yeah, I know. And I shouldn't be surprised that like there's this newfound freedom to say the thing that you knew better than to say, 5-10 years ago. Like, I can't fucking believe that.
Well, I mean, and some of this like dates back.
Like people used to just feel it. They didn't say it.
Yeah, they didn't, and they knew that they would be. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's golly.
There's a hat that went around for a while that is sort of a play on the Trump "Make America Great Again" hat, but it just said "Make racists afraid again." I think we do need to do that.
Yeah. Well. So
anyway, a whole bunch of things. They were preventing people from apparently the festival of Sukkot, which is a Jewish holiday. People erect little huts, little. I mean, it's often just like a pop up structure or whatever.
A yurt?
Anyway, yeah, or whatever.
Like a tent of some kind, like what
people. Yeah, or an awning with walls or something, and you put some branches up on top. It's symbolic.
Okay.
People,
all right.
And then people sleep in it for a few days, and they eat there and whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, the town was not allowing them to put up their huts, etc.
Why were they? What reason were they saying? Just we don't like you. You can't do it, or did they?
Yeah, they
at least try to be like, it's a little bit of a.
I think they were passing ordinances and zoning laws.
Okay.
Specifically to prevent this group of Jews from doing what they actually like needed to do. And wanted to do.
All right.
So anyway, there was a lawsuit and it has been settled. And basically the town or the state of New Jersey is now paying over $500,000 to this group. The town will have to pay almost $300,000 in penalties.
Wow.
Plus another $150,000 toward a restitution fund, and another $150 if they violate the consent order. And these small towns, that's real money. That is debilitating amounts of money for a small township. So there you go. All right. I mean, the thing is, I wouldn't, if I lived in a smallish township, I wouldn't want this to happen. Like, I wouldn't want a group to come in and suddenly just take over and change things. But also, like, no, you can't. You can't do any of those things that you did. So I'm siding with the I'm reluctantly siding with the ultra Orthodox Jews on this point.
Yeah, well, that was some ugly shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I that is not in the spirit of all let's all just get along.
Yeah.
Right? They betrayed that. All right. Well, up in Michigan, Dan, there's a proposed law, which I'm going to just start off with acknowledging that even the sponsor of the law knows it's not going to pass. But it's one of these that gets run by radicals to sort of make a statement, get a little bit of attention. Maybe, hopefully, they think they're going to get some people coming out of the woodwork supporting it and start
political hay.
And then maybe someday down the road, they actually can pass it, right?
Or a smaller version of it.
If the political winds shift direction or whatnot, right? So this is a law that, if passed, would require the teaching of Christian foundations of the United States. In the public schools, in U.S. history and civics courses. And some of the things that they would like to have included as part of the Christian foundations would be teaching how the Pilgrims immigrated because of persecution.
Yes.
Which isn't really true, but
no.
If we want to just go through the history of the Pilgrims really quick here.
Can we not call them the Pilgrims, first of all? I'm going to encourage all of our listeners to not call the Puritan assholes who first came from Europe to this country, the first settlements in this country. They were not pilgrims. Mm-hmm. They were assholes.
Yeah. And it's funny to me because actually teaching the real history might be more beneficial for the conservatives, because what's important is that the Puritans, Dan, that they initially they were English, right? And and at the time, the Church of England was compulsory, and they disagreed with that. And so they left England for Holland because Holland was very open and had very liberal views about religion and just letting anybody practice basically whatever. They didn't care, right?
Right. And even if your religion was the shittiest of all of the religions.
Which it was a bad one, yeah.
Yeah, decidedly awful.
And so this group of religious zealots set up shop in Holland, and they're starting to raise the next generation. And their kids are maybe being just a little too Dutch, right? They look out at this very open and accepting society, and they realize the risk, quote unquote risk, that it poses to their kids, because their kids might actually grow up and be more like the Dutch than they will be like them.
Yeah.
And so they look at this far off land where there's basically no political system already set up. They can just go do their own thing, be assholes all
and make
the live long
everybody
day.
be their religion.
Yeah.
Do exactly what the English were trying to do.
Yeah.
But
and this seems like a beautiful lesson for the religious conservatives right now. You would think that they would be like, this is the truth we need to be teaching, right? These good people, you know, had to leave an open and accepting society, i.e. modern America.
Right. We're so open and accepting.
We let you practice your stupid religion.
Well, that's true.
Right.
Not that they had not acknowledged that, but sure. In reality,
we do. And anyway, so teachers would also be required to explain to students how pilgrims cultivated democratic forms of government and Christian ethics. These people, Jesus Christ.
I smell Dennis Prager and David Barton. Like the country's least historical historians are all over this thing.
Exactly. Well, they caught the attention of Representative Joseph Fox, a Republican. No surprise there. He is a former Christian educator. He's worked as both a teacher and a principal in Christian schools, and he's the sponsor of this whole thing. And I'll remind everybody, Michigan's legislature is Democratic controlled at the moment, so this really has no chance of passing. But, you know, Michigan being a target of the GOP to try to flip it back, you know, this is all part of like a larger plan of theirs.
Yeah.
And I just, God. Also, first of all, this is history that all the teachers in Michigan are already getting wrong. A la what he's talking about, right?
Yeah, we were raised with that, basically that exact story.
Yeah. So sorry, any Michigan teachers I might have just impugned who listen to this show. But like very, very few teachers are actually probably teaching this correctly. Or really even at all. I remember it just being such a there was like, you know, little, you know, cardboard paper cutouts of pilgrims and whatnot on the bulletin boards, having, you know, a meal with some, you know, racist depictions of Native Americans.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what we were taught. It was always first Thanksgiving. That's what we always learned about the pilgrims. So,
I mean, like I say, if you are still using the word pilgrim, you're not teaching it right. They weren't. They just weren't. That was a word that was made up to be used. I think it was Daniel Webster who first used that term. He's the dictionary guy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's wrong. They weren't pilgrims. They weren't going to a holy place. They were running away from places that they thought were dingy, dirty, non-Christian enough places.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, all right. Well, finally, today let's talk about, I think we reported on this school a while back.
Okay.
This is the Miracle Meadows School. This is a Seventh-day Adventist school in Salem, West Virginia.
Mm.
And they apparently specialized in, I'll just see if any red flags go off for you on this.
Mm.
They specialized in students who were troubled, whose parents felt that they were trouble and needed a little bit of extra discipline.
Okay.
Now, when I hear that, my spidey sense starts to really tingle because Christians don't have a great track record of dealing with kids who need extra help or who like aren't responding well to their parents / teachers or whatever.
Mm.
But these guys went above and beyond. In 2014, the sort of alarm bells went off when a student seems to have possibly purposefully poisoned themselves with a cleaning agent, and then
like like poisoned to death, or
no,
okay.
Just enough to get doctors and medical people in and then begged them for help.
Oh,
so this is a boarding
smart.
school.
I mean, terrifying.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. It turns out things were real bad there.
Wow.
Kids were getting choked. Kids were getting handcuffed to like there was one kid that was choked until he passed out and then woke up handcuffed in his room.
Oh my God.
Handcuffs apparently were a big thing. Like kids handcuffed to like, you know, a radiator or whatever, and like all night, waking up with bloodied wrists.
Oh my God.
That sort of thing. Also, plenty of like sexual abuse.
Oh my God.
Neglect, all this stuff. And there was a $52 million settlement of that case.
Oh, okay.
In 2020.
Jesus.
Well, that raised a bunch of other people were like, hey, wait, those people could sue the school? And then they went and sued the school, and there were an additional 31 lawsuits filed.
Oh my God.
Against the proprietor of the school and the school itself.
Wow.
Alleging just horrific things. Like leaving a child alone in the dark and cold when they were hungry and thirsty.
Oh God.
Kids given only a bucket to use as a toilet in their 5-by-8 foot room.
Jesus.
And their meals these are quarantine rooms, by the way, and which they could be in for literally days or weeks. And they were given bread and fruit or rice and beans as their food.
God. These poor kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jesus.
Yeah.
And then, multiple students getting impregnated and then being forced to get abortions.
Well, no. This is a Christian school.
Right?
They don't believe in abortion, Dan.
There's no way hypocrisy could live in the Lord's house, in the Lord's school.
Wow.
So yeah, just real bad. But the nice thing, if you can call it that, like nothing makes up for that level of abuse of children.
Yeah.
There's just nothing you can do. But forcing them to pay over $100 million is it? I don't even know if they have that kind of money.
Right.
Like, I don't know if that's just a symbolic thing at this point. But yeah, the 31 plaintiffs have settled their cases, and the amount was for at least 48 million for this new set of things. So that brings the total of the two cases over 100 million.
Wow. Well, I mean, good.
Yeah, part's good.
When you leave Nurse Ratched in charge of
yeah.
a school
What's
for
sad to me is that
Christian
this isn't
children.
getting what this needs to be is publicized and sort of reported as a warning to parents who want to put their kid, because this place advertised itself as a God-driven Christian school that will keep your kids safe and on the straight and narrow path, and
First of all,
it sounds nice. Miracle Meadows.
I mean,
I'm not.
Yeah. Oh, Miracle Meadows. That's nice. I'm obviously not a parent, right?
Yeah.
And so therefore, I've never experienced any of the joys of parenthood or the horrors of having like a child who is perceived to be out of control, right? But this idea of sending the child off and let it be somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
Right. As like the way of loving the child. Now, granted, there are probably scenarios that I'm just not fully up on where, or maybe the kid does need like round the clock care by, I don't know, medical professionals and, board certified professionals. Right. But like the idea of sending them off to a Christian school where nobody there has any kind of any certification whatsoever, or sending them off to military school or whatever. These are just child abuse like institutions.
Yeah.
Utah here locally, the story for years has been about the camps that are run here in Utah, where people would send their kids off to these wilderness survival camps from all over the country and who knows where else.
These camps that promised to set your kids straight.
Yeah, yeah. And they were, so many of them were just horrible institutions of neglect and abuse. And these similar stories have come out. Paris Hilton apparently went to one of them, right?
Yeah.
And has been like leading the charge at trying to get them shut down.
I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, if your child wants to escape from the place that you've put them, that's not a good place.
Probably
it doesn't matter what you do. Like, it's not great.
Right.
Oh boy. Christ. Well, if you would like to tell us about your experience escaping from something or whatever, any of the topics we've discussed, please write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, Frank, I know that we've talked a little bit. We've played clips from Nick Fuentes, self-described incel and very and sort of awful Christian fascist young guy who somehow has a platform and has hung out with Kanye and just an anti-Semite, just sort of the worst type of person, but people seem to enjoy his program. But he is super into Christianity, so he says. Let's see if you can catch the seemingly less Christian thing that happens in this next clip. I don't know if you can. It's subtle. But maybe you'll catch on to it.
Okay.
The people of this country are furious. They don't like my hatred for the poor. They don't like that, and I don't know why. I don't get it. But I don't care, because I do fucking hate the poor, and I hate poor people, and I hate poverty, and I'm sick of lying about it. I'm not gonna pretend that I don't, okay? I love the rich. I don't have any animosity for the rich men of America, okay? I want to be one. I want all my friends to be rich. I want all white people to be rich. I want to emulate them. I want to be one of them. I want to be among them.
Woof.
Wow.
I think he's got a decent handle on Jesus's message. I'm not sure it's 100% in line. Holy shit, dude.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, there's a point of agreement. I have a point of agreement. I hate poverty.
That was the one that stood out to me too, but I don't think he understands what we would mean by that.
No, clearly.
Yeah.
I should have done a trigger warning before this, because especially when he calls out white people.
Yeah, he wants all white people to be rich.
I mean, and I only play clips like this because we need to be aware that this bullshit is happening and that people are listening to this shit. Now, it's a minority.
Yeah.
But the lunatic fringe is they're fringing hard,
and they are loonies. Wow. I love rich people. Boy, have you spent much time around rich people?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, that's not a category of like personalities.
No.
You know what I mean? That's not a group to love.
No, I know.
That is a group that you know, they've bought some stuff for you and you like the shit that you've gotten. I don't know.
What
Yikes.
Just lame-brained. What? I don't even know what went wrong with this guy.
Yeah.
Like he's leaning into some he says stuff. He's a provocateur. He's a very cheap provocateur, but he's a provocateur.
Yeah. And it works. He clearly sees what gains traction, what gets him onto our show.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And then he plays it up.
Yeah. Yeah, what a nasty human being.
Yeah, you guys do me a favor, all you listeners at home. Don't go looking him up.
No.
Don't give him the views. We'll give him one view. And then you guys can catch it from our show, and then
yeah.
Don't put any oxygen into that man's fire.
Yeah. Gross.
All right. Well, we had some lovely folks. Let's pivot to better humans, shall we?
Yay!
Including the people who have written into us.
Woo!
So we got one. This is unsigned. It says, "Hey guys, about 5 years ago, I stopped talking to my dad. He's an uber Christian right winger with abhorrent views on many things I hold dear. The proverbial straw for me came after he declined my invitation to my wedding because I was marrying a man. I just listened to your Lord and Savior Davis's question about when/whether we should write people off because of their views.
Yeah.
Is it one issue? Two, I've been struggling with this question for years. Are people their opinions/political views? If those opinions are repugnant, does that make the person repugnant? Is my dad a bad person because his homophobic, racist, sexist, and anti-environmental views are so much a part of his core belief and so antithetical to mine? I don't have an answer. Somewhat ironically, I am writing from a plane on my way to visit my dad in the hospital. He just had a massive heart attack and is on life support. So now I'm going to be with him while he either recovers or passes on. As angry as I am at him, and as many times as he has hurt me, I just had to get on that next flight out. The cognitive dissonance is palpable, but I think there are times when you can simultaneously love someone and refuse to let them hurt you anymore. You know, it's rough. I think the line that I draw is when someone stops acknowledging the humanity of other humans. You know what I mean? Like, it's not your political views that make you a bad person, but I find people easy to write off when they refuse to see the humanity in the people that they are that they are hateful of. When it becomes about not someone's views or beliefs, not someone's a position that they've taken, but rather just who they are. I have no patience for that. I don't know. What are your thoughts? You're in a much closer proximity position to our listener.
Yeah, I mean, all the things that the listener's father sort of espouses, I would put the word light, spelled I-L-I-T-E before. You know, my parents are light racists. They're light homophobes, right? It's that's nothing really to joke about. But theirs is it presents itself gently, right? And there has been a sort of truce declared on certain issues, and we don't talk about certain things. And in this day and age, that leaves us very little to talk about. But I completely empathize with the emailer, because I am near something similar. So I don't know about, like, I guess it's for our relationship, it was finding that place to just ignore certain things, right? Don't address them every time they come up. It ends up going poorly. And and I think I made it perfectly clear that there were non-negotiables, and if they wanted to have a relationship with me, essentially, those non-negotiables had to, at least if nothing else, just be ignored. Right. Yeah. Like, you can't bring these things up anymore. And so we just don't.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound like that's going to be helpful for the emailer.
Right.
Because I think like it's a little bit more progressed than that. So
part of the problem is that these things are not cut and dry. There's no obvious way to parse this out. Yeah. There's no universal standard that can give you the answer that you need for your situation.
Yeah.
Because everybody's situation is different, and your feelings are different, and your ability to handle things is not the same as my ability to handle things, or whatever. And you have to protect yourself in the ways that you need protection. And maybe you have to protect, your loved ones. Yeah. Meaning like your husband or whatever. Right. In the way that they need protection.
Yeah.
So,
but I get the whole, like, still loving the person and wanting to, like, go and be there in that difficult time.
Totally.
And I just want to say I'm really sorry you're going through this. It's awful. And my heart goes out to you. And rough.
We're with you in
stuff.
spirit.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I'm probably glad that we're not with you in presence.
Maybe in a different context.
Yeah. All right. Mark wrote into us to say, hey, longtime listener, first time emailer, you missed the most important item on the pastor being indicted alongside Trump in Georgia. We talked a little, we talked about that son of a bitch. He is not a pastor from Georgia. He is, in fact, a pastor from Illinois.
What?
So he has a pastor, faith leader. He drove from Illinois to Georgia to harass election workers.
Oh, Jesus.
I had missed that point. I did not realize that at all. I did see a thing that he is now literally back at the pulpit, giving sermons again.
Oh, they're probably the parishioners are probably just eating it up with a spoon.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wonder how you feel about that when you find out, because some of them are like, yeah, buddy, you were on Team Trump, go you. And then there's got to be some people who are like, wait, you were harassing election workers in another state? What? You did that? Oh, okay. Yeah. Brian wrote into us to say, credit to you guys for addressing this. This is a reference to a few weeks ago. Brian says, I grew up in the age of screaming assholes. My views have changed a lot with the years, and I've come a long way from that ugly place. Sometimes I still have...
Thanks for addressing what?
We're getting to it.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think this is specifically addressing trans issues.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sometimes I still have trouble understanding the motivation to be transgender, and the pronouns are confusing. But I don't think it's necessary for me to understand. All I know is that a kid trying to figure out where they're going to be in life doesn't need me to add grief. So I do what I can to be respectful and decent. I'm trying. Your show has helped me to understand these issues better. Please know that you're doing good work. And we loved this email because that's part of the thing that we need to remember as a society is that growth is a process. It is not we shouldn't be like rejecting everyone until they're all the way to a finish line.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it is, I appreciate Brian trying to grow and recognizing that even if he doesn't understand So the fuck what?
Yeah.
Don't hurt.
Right. Yeah, that's much more important. I just really appreciate sort of his willingness to share that.
Yeah.
And being in that place. I think that's such an important message of just like yeah, it's you don't have to understand where everybody else is at. Just accept them at their face value, and that what they have to say about their life and their experience is valid, right? Yeah. Because you cannot walk in their shoes. So all you do get is their perspective, and that's so important. So
yeah.
Thank you, Brian. That's an important one.
I do want to address just one thing for you, Brian, which is the idea of motivation to be transgender. I just want to be clear that, like, probably for most trans folks, and I don't speak for trans people, but I would say that probably they're not motivated to be trans. They just are trans.
That's a good point. Yeah.
They're not, this isn't something that they want. It's something that they are.
Right.
You know, I'm not motivated to be 5'11", but I will fight for my right to be 5'11", and I want people to honor me for my height, regardless of what their thoughts on height are. You know what I mean? Like, this is not something that you choose. It's something that is a part of your identity, and you don't need. And so yeah, you can let go of the whole, like, what's the motivation thing entirely. You don't have to worry about that. It's not a thing. Yeah.
Were you motivated for 6 feet and just didn't get there, or?
I was shooting for 6'2".
Oh, wow. That's ambitious.
I wanted to be tall, but landed solidly, just below the 6 foot mark. So there you go. All right. Well, we have some folks to thank.
We do.
And y'all came through for us pretty great. I'm going to start us off. We had some people go to our PayPal, and I really appreciate that. We had a one-time donation from Nathan, who I'm going to make an elder in our magical priesthood. Thank you so much, Nathan. That's amazing, and we really appreciate that. Daniel also is now a subscriber. He is a deacon.
Nice.
Thank you, Daniel, so much for being a deacon. And Marissa, thanks also for being a deacon. We really appreciate all of you contributing. And I think you have some folks also.
I do, Dan. Over on Patreon, we have a new deacon by the name of, and I'm just, Robert. There's no reason to pronounce it that way.
Ooh, you got Frenchy, Robert. Good job. You're not only do you get magic powers, you get to be mispronounced.
And then we have 2 new teachers by the name of Zach and Leslie.
Oh, wonderful.
So thank you to all of the new supporters of the show this week. If you'd like to join them, you can go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab. And then, as always, Dan, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
More show coming up. Well, Frank.
Dan.
We teased, we promised weird ass Mormonism. And I think we're going to deliver.
Oh, golly. Yeah.
Our discussion comes from an article in the Salt Lake Tribune that talked about something that if you've never been part of Mormonism, it may just sound like a big nothing.
Right.
Because here's the thing. Most people know Mormonism, they're wealthy as an institution, and they own just fuck tons of land. Absurd amounts of land in places that, like, make no sense.
Yeah.
They own 2% of the state of Florida. No good reason. They own a bunch of, like, cattle ranches in Australia. But they also own a sizable amount of Missouri.
That's true. Yeah. Specifically, I mean, one of the places, and it is a large tract of land, it's a place that they call Adam-ondi-Ahman, which is, it is supposedly where Adam and Eve went after they were thrown out of the Garden of Eden, which, by the way, the Garden of Eden is somewhere in the vicinity of Independence, Missouri.
Yeah, it's just outside of Kansas City. I can't imagine. Here's what I did when I was thinking when I knew we were going to talk about this. I went to, because you and I have been to Independence, but we didn't get to Adam-ondi-Ahman, which
we didn't drive by it.
No, it's an hour north, and we didn't do that.
I have driven past it when I was a kid. We did a road trip through that area, a Mormon history tour, right?
Yeah, Mormons like to do that.
Oh, golly.
And here's the thing about this area. For those of you who've never been to the Plains states, or just the plain states, they're basically just plain. You can look in, if you get on a just reasonably small hill, you can see in 100 miles in every direction. Like, this is just flat land. How anyone could look around in that area and go, well, Garden of Eden was around here somewhere. I don't know where it was. It is in this basic area somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty. It's wood, it's covered in woods. It's woodlandy, right?
Yeah.
With rolling hills. I find that part of the country to actually be pretty, right? Like, sure. It's not one of the ugly parts of the country, but it's also not one of the stunningly beautiful parts of the country either. So
here's the Mormon lore. The Mormon lore is that when Jesus comes back, the place that he will come back to, well, I don't know, I don't know where he'll come back to. I always had the sense when I was growing up that he would come back and he would be in Jackson County, Missouri, somewhere.
Yeah.
And all the Mormons, all of us good, faithful saints would have to make the trek from wherever we was to Jackson County, Missouri.
Yeah.
This is where we would live for the millennium. This was going to be our new sort of home base where all the good people were for 1,000 years. So they owned so much land out there.
Yeah.
So that we could all be there for the second coming of Jesus and
like some
stuff.
crazed out music festival, right? Like just some giant field somewhere with like a big
worse
stage,
than the fire festival,
a big stage and a super loud sound system, and Jesus was gonna. I don't know how he was gonna appear. I always imagined it was gonna be a descending. Look up in the sky, and there would just be like this pillar, just like descending slowly. Like that would be nice. That'd be fun, right?
Yeah.
But he could.
Coachella can eat their hearts out with that kind of effect.
It's a good entrance, or maybe like a little poof or a nice limousine bus rolls up, right? And he gets out.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It was unclear. But what was clear was that like that was the spot. That was where it was going to be. So when we read in the paper that the Mormon Church is selling off a bunch of their Missouri land in that area, some alarm bells went off.
Yeah.
Because don't they need that?
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's really shocking to me. It feels like they are giving up on that part of their second coming lore.
They're
right? Because they're supposed to be they're supposed to build a temple there in anticipation of the second coming. And whatever other facilities that they would potentially, that Jesus would need.
So probably a lot of like sort of clerical buildings.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of like paperwork that will need to be done in Mormon in the Mormon millennium.
Yeah.
It's mostly paperwork.
It's a lot of pushing papers around and solving like conflicts, like, what do you do about, the guy, these people who've been married in the temple multiple times, whatnot.
But it's a lot of celestial TPS reports.
But no, that's what I always thought was supposed to be how Jesus came back. And it's remarkable. Did the article, Dan, mention are they specifically selling off the temple site?
No.
Okay.
It's surrounding areas,
all right,
and whatever. I think they're definitely holding on to that. There is a cornerstone laid for a temple already.
Yeah.
But then, if you know your Mormon history, they were all prepped and ready to go, and then they got summarily dismissed at gunpoint from Missouri completely.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, there was actually an extermination order.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
That is the one thing they can legitimately point to as far as like the Mormon persecution. Governor Boggs did sign an order to kill all the Mormons. So
that's on him. That was bad.
So unfortunately, we do have to acknowledge, yes, there was Mormon persecution.
Okay. They have not stopped talking about it since then. Nor have they stopped believing that they are persecuted. Anyway, I think you're right. I think what's happened here is that the Mormon Church recognizes that this is cuckoo bananas theology.
Yeah.
Like the idea that this is where the Garden of Eden was is beyond absurdity.
Yeah.
And so what they've decided is that they're going to quietly stop talking about it and then just sell off the land and just sort of tiptoe away from the whole thing and hope nobody notices.
I want them to use their $150 billion to build like the Jesus Christ Second Coming reception center. Right?
Yes,
like that's what needs to be built there. They need to do this.
Oh my God!
Right? Because that's what they say this money's for. It's for the Second Coming. Well, build him, get going. A reception center.
Yeah,
at least
call it the Mount of Olives so that it like lines up with what the Bible said. And then build it.
Yeah. And in the meantime, hold, conventions, and
yeah.
Like, at least
and get as many Mormons
space
to move there as possible.
Yeah. Why did they not do that? They could have just been selling off all that land.
Yeah.
Do it as a giant houses.
Fuck you to Governor Boggs.
Yeah.
Move your headquarters back to Missouri.
Oh, I would love that.
That would be great.
Wouldn't you love that, Dan?
Oh.
If they divested in our town.
Yeah. That'd be amazing. Get everybody out of Utah, plop them in Missouri. Missouri's already ruined anyway. Forget about it. It's a lost cause.
Utah's economy absolutely collapses. Yeah.
All right, friends. Well, that's that. If you would like to write into us about where you think the Garden of Eden was or wasn't, feel free to do so. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or if you'd like to tell us where all the Mormons should go, you can leave us a voicemail message, 424-666-8442.
Yeah. Hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist if you still believe in Facebook, and click the like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, you can do so by going to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members-only.
Yeah. Thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.